welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're kicking the kids out of the wading pool, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Yes, indeedy. I'm Wits End, and tonight we're talking about exploring maker magic. The magic of the makers. As always, live audience, I see the chat scrolling by without even having to ask, but I'm going to throw out there because it's what I do. Join in the chat. Tell us what you think about maker magic. Comment, questions. We'll get to as much of it as we can. We love your involvement. But before we get too deep into it, it's time to bring in our mechanical macaque. Some say he's hotter than black vinyl car seats on a hot summer day. Others say his high school guidance counselor suggested that he stay unemployed. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
I look forward to that stage of life of unemployment called retirement, but we'll get there.
I hope I don't live that long.
Oh, yeah. Anyhow, good to be back with you guys. Good to see my friends here on a Thursday night. It's been a while since the gang's all been back together, but
yeah,
it's awesome. Good to see you folks, and great to see all the activity in the chat. Missed all of you folks as well, so always fun to interact with everybody on a Thursday night. And speaking of folks I have or have not seen recently, I want to throw out our patron thank yous, and of course say thank you to our corporate Denali level sponsors, one of which is Land Sharks, LANDSHAK. Let me try that again. It's been a few weeks.
It's not as easy as it looks.
No, it's not. LANDSHARKZ.ca. That's Land Sharks. And hey, if we haven't said it before, we're going to say it again. Check out travel.landsharks.ca. They have lots of great trips listed under the upcoming trips. I just came back from one. I can tell you they are so much fun. Nothing like getting together with 60, 70 of your best geocaching friends and going exploring for a week or two. Awesome. Good stuff. So anyways, they've got a trip to the Brazil Ape Cache, followed by a Panama Canal cruise. They've got a trip to Antarctica. They've got a trip to Ireland. All kinds of great trips coming up. So check it out, landsharks.ca. Hey, let's not forget our other corporate Denali level sponsor. That is Gold Country Geotourism. And that reminds me that, I got some Gold Country Geotour caches to find yet. So that'll be a goal for later this summer, maybe early this fall before the snow starts flying, but definitely going to get back up there and enjoy some of that Gold Country. Folks, if you want to check it out, go to exploregoldcountry.com, learn about the geotours, the region, and don't forget to download the app. And if you want to know more about just supporting this show in general, well, head on over and click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Tony, from tuning in from Kentucky.
Ooh.
How about that?
Hi, Tony.
Yeah.
Komikino says, that's far away from the Pacific Northwest. Yes.
But it's in the Northwest of something.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, folks, it's time for the glow. And you may ask, what is a glow?
What's a glow?
I like you guys. The glow is the geocaching log of the week. So whether you read it or whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. You can send an email or a recording on that there fancy phone device you have to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can also call into 253-693-TFTC and show us just how you glow. Now, Wits End, I'm going to give you a break this week because this glow actually came in from Brylang, but it's from Land Monkey, and I'm going to make him read his own log.
Okay, the pressure's on.
Or maybe you should sing it.
Well, the reason Chris is suggesting that is this was a log that I had posted on a cache of Brylangs. The cache is called Final Countdown Number 1. It's GC9930 Hotel. Logged by Land Monkey. That would be me and Mrs. Monkey. And sometimes she writes the logs. Most of the time I write the logs. This one I can't blame on her. So, but it says found 2023-02-25 by the Land Monkeys while enjoying some chilly time outside caching with a late start to the morning. Gotta love a sleep in and then go caching for a bit day. And then now you'll remember the name of the cache. Final
GC9330H.
that would be the GC code. the name of the cache being Final Countdown Number 1.
Yes.
So it proceeds on like such. We're leaving together, but still it's farewell. And maybe we'll come back to geocache. Who can tell? I guess there's no one to blame, but we're leaving ground. Leaving ground. Will things ever be the same again? We found the final countdown. Do 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 do. The final countdown. Then it says, we're heading off Whatcom, and still we stand tall, 'cause maybe they've seen us and welcome us all. Yeah. With so many meters to go and things to be found, I'm sure that we'll not DNF them all. We found the final countdown. Do 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 do. I thought I'd change pitch there for a moment. And anyways, so it goes on like that. Repeat chorus ad infinitum.
Well done, sir.
Can Jim do them from now on? Because he does a much better job than I do.
Okay, from the chat, we need who did the final, who performed the song "The Final Countdown."
Oh, come on.
I know. I'm just curious to see in the chat who knows.
Okay.
Yeah, so you keep looking for it, and you can't find the U.S. version, right?
That's right.
Yeah. You know what? I wonder if that was a Eurovision song. Well, it's Eurovision season, so it just comes to mind.
Oh, I see now.
We
only have one answer, and that's from the cache owner himself. So I don't know if that one counts.
No, Comakino's running as well there.
Yep.
But Brian Lang beat him to the buzzer.
It was the frogs in that TELUS commercial.
Also that. Doesn't make sense to anybody outside of Western Canada, but yes.
Not a clue.
You're correct, Keats.
I also don't know Eurovision, but.
Oh, okay. Wow. It's like America's Got Talent, but for an entire continent.
Okay.
All right. Well, folks, tonight we want you to join in the chat and use the hashtag maker when you do that to add to anything to tonight's show. Of course, hashtag FATAS to bring up something in the after show. And we're going to use hashtag podcast baking and hashtag podcast drinking to tell us what you're ingesting tonight.
Okay. Shouldn't we do podcast making tonight? No.
Oh, I like that one better. Podcast making. Let's see. Yeah. I've already seen some podcast drinking, low-cost Irish cream, and low-fat milk.
Keeps it on the down low.
See a theme going there.
And we're going to all go to Starcasher's house because he's doing 3 more pounds of bacon.
I feel like I've never left. Starcasher's making bacon.
Yeah.
It's going to smell good at his house tonight.
I get the sense it always smells good at his house.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I mean, how can you go wrong, right?
Indeed.
What's Brylan got? He's got a Sleeman Honey Brown Lager.
Yep.
A Sleeman. Wasn't that the bad guys in the Land of the Lost?
That was the Slee Stack.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
I'm a logger just up from Coos Bay, Oregon. That's a different song.
Leaping from tree to tree as they float down the mighty rivers of British Columbia.
That's a different one too.
Should we read Keats?
Go for it.
When a mommy podcast and a daddy podcast love each other very much. Hashtag podcast making.
Indeed.
Do you have to make?
Oh, we got to get going, but there's some good ones. Starcasher says, I am American.
I think that's in reference to whether it's American or Canadian. Bacon
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
cooking. Nice.
Oh, hey, Korsgat, thank you for joining. He's drinking coffee since it's 6 a.m. and his body needs to wake up. A shot of whiskey in the coffee couldn't hurt.
Thanks for joining us, Korsgat, at 6 in the morning.
Now, Korsgat may not know this. People from the Northwest who've been around, say, 43 years ago today, probably remember what happened here.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old enough to remember that.
Now, I was in Ohio when it happened, so it took a couple more days before I saw this black streak in the jet stream.
Oh, really? You could
that went across the entire sky, yes.
Wow.
43 years ago today was the disastrous eruption at Mount St. Helens. It remains the deadliest volcanic eruption in U.S. history. At
So far.
Recorded U.S. history.
Well, challenge accepted.
8:32 a.m. on May 18th, 1980, an earthquake triggered the largest landslide in recorded history, setting off massive explosions, blasting rocks, ashes, volcanic gas, and steams upward and outward.
And Harry Truman.
Yeah, and Harry Truman.
Yeah. No kidding, eh?
Not that Harry Truman, but the other Harry Truman.
Yeah.
If you're from up here, you know which Harry Truman we're talking
That's right.
about.
We're talking Mr. I'm not going to leave Spirit Lake.
Yeah.
And he's still there to that day. To this
Well,
day.
there's a shadow of him burned into the ground somewhere.
Who can blame him?
Here you go. Hey, What Coaster says the Big Bang of Mount St. Helens eruption. He says I was in a Esquimalt. It woke me up with the ground shaking and then hearing the booms.
Booms.
I also was on the island. I was in Victoria visiting my grandparents, I recall vividly being up at the front of their house, and they had large picture windows, and the windows shook. I was like, what's going on? As did the rest of the family, as did everybody. And then it was shortly after that, of course, from Victoria, if you've got at all a view, I think most people know if you have any kind of view out to the south in Victoria, you would have seen that plume going up. So that was something else. Seebeck Tribe says I was 12 years old and lived in the northeast corner of Washington. There you go.
Well, I lost it. There it is.
There you go.
Oh, Keats wasn't there for the eruption, but he believes us. Yeah. Little young. That's okay. You know what's funny is there is a Twitter conversation, whatever you call like a whole group of Twitter comments, Twitter thread today about Mount St. Helens from the it's a state park or national park? National park.
National.
From the National Park Authority down there. About the history and posting some really fascinating photos, etc. And what I thought was funny was the number of young people, young relative to us, posting like, "Oh, that was before I was born," and a whole bunch of people posting, "That was before I was born." And we're like, "Okay, we get it."
Yeah.
Not everybody who wasn't alive at that time needs to tell us.
Right. If you don't have anything to add, that's okay.
You're perfectly welcome to say nice pictures. Yeah. I just found it funny.
GSM times 2 says the eruption destroyed hundreds of homes and leveled 185 miles of highway. 57 people were killed. My wife was in the state and remembers, her father put sheets over the front of their cars to keep all the ash out of the grill, out of the radiator.
Yeah. I like the story. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Was living in Japan at the time, but his mom was very upset about Mount St. Helens. The house they rented in Portland in 1970 had a picture window facing the mountain, and she loved the view. Well, the mountain is still there.
It's just
Some
a
of
little
it.
smaller.
I was living in Southern California, and it was just a story in the news.
No kidding. Oh yeah, I guess so when Chris said in Iowa that he saw this streak of black
Or
and white,
Ohio.
or sorry, you said Ohio.
Ohio.
Sorry. I should remember that, but I always confuse those two states. I always conflate them.
4 letters, lots of vowels.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Majority vowels.
Where was I going? Oh, the Jim, like you said, there was just a story in the news. So you couldn't see anything in the sky?
No, it all went towards the east, towards the east.
Following the jet stream. Okay.
Yeah.
that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, so it was just a thin black line from horizon to horizon.
Weird. Yeah, that would have been bizarre, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Pull up Komakino's comment from the chat. It says, we were camping in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, when Mount St. Helens erupted. We had no connection with anyone. This was pre-internet. And we thought it was the end of the world. I bet, because
It would seem that way.
in Idaho, you wouldn't be that far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been kind of scary.
Wet Coaster says in Portland, the Rose Festival was on. All the Navy ships got out of there quick as they could, worried that the Columbia River would get blocked from the ash. It rained mud about 4 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Now,
Good
my
point.
wife was in Portland, and she was traveling between Tacoma and Portland. And she remembers them for, I don't know, I want to say years afterwards, constantly dredging the river, trying to get all that ash out of there so they could continue to have shipping traffic. And as we drive I-5, she goes, see that mound right there? That's all ash. That didn't used to be there. And now you look at it and it's completely grown over. You wouldn't know, what's underneath it.
Right. Fascinating. I think that's the thing that probably most of us in the Northwest remember the most about Mount St. Helens going on. Well, obviously, those of us who are alive remember the event at the moment it happened, but then subsequently for days, the ash.
Yeah.
And yes, exactly. Seaback Tribe. We couldn't drive for days because the ash in the house was bad. Ooh, it got into the house. That is bad. And I guess depending how close you were to where the prevailing winds would have taken it, but that ash and it was so fine, it was getting into everything. It was that was a mess. I mean, not like there was any good part of the volcano going off, but
well, the good part is I never knew what a lahar was before.
Yeah. Oh, we all know what those are. Oh, wow. All right.
Because
well, that
the
was
Seaback Tribe says, then a few days ago, the road to Johnson Observatory had a major mudslide across the road.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they had to rescue people out of there.
Yes, they did. They rescued a lot of people.
But not related to any kind of seismic events, just weather related, I guess.
And no Trumans.
And no Trumans were harmed in the most recent
No Trumans were rescued.
Yeah.
Don't rescue Trumans.
No, you don't. You could try.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, GSM times 2.
Oh.
That's funny, but I'm not going to post it. Keats says the Mound of Ash, Earth Cache.
There you go. Yeah,
Nice.
That could be.
Yeah.
But I mean, to make it a really good Earth cache, you need to have it like somehow exposed so you can see what it is.
Bring a shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And expose
dig it out.
What's the problem with that?
Good idea.
Okay. Well, should we move on to thanking volunteers?
Or do we just continue to talk about Mount St. Helens and that's the entire show? No,
it's kind of trending that way.
Yeah, it is.
Well, from the geocaching.com blog, Thank a Volunteer Day is May 22nd. That's coming up. Well, what is it? Monday?
Yeah.
I think it's Monday. Yeah. And, if you're just spinning across YouTube and found our podcast at random, and you say, what is geocaching? Well, let me tell you, geocaching is an awesome thing. It can take you on captivating journeys of discovery almost anywhere in the world. You can find secret places, join a community of fellow adventurers, learn new things, and even create your own magic when you hide a new cache. From the thrill of exploration to the pure joy of a wonderfully creative cache, a huge part of this wouldn't be possible without the volunteers who play a major role to make it all happen. So whether you found a geocache today, found one on a faraway vacation, have hidden a geocache, used geocaching.com or the mobile app in a language other than English, or used our forums, you have a geocaching community volunteer to thank. There's several types of volunteers in the geocaching world, and they all deserve our appreciation.
Yeah, nearly 400 I see there. That's
Yes.
a lot.
More than I had. Of course, we know that geocaching is worldwide and is obviously in multiple languages, but I didn't realize that the translators were volunteers.
Yes.
So volunteers include reviewers, Earth Cache reviewers, there's GeoAwares, translators, and forum moderators. So it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and we thank all of the volunteers in all aspects of geocaching so we can play this fun game.
I thought it was interesting, how if you found a geocache or you've used the app or the website, volunteers made all that happen. I was like, wow, I know there's volunteer reviewers, right? No question. And I know some of the reviewers are also translators, but I don't think all the translators are reviewers.
Correct.
So, but there's an incredible amount of people, 400 that, keep this game going to help out the 90 to 100 employees at geocaching.com. So thank you all volunteers. And if you've put on an event, if you volunteered at a mega or giga event, thank you. If you just help out at your local community events, thank you. If you've done CETOs, thank you.
Yeah, those are all forms of volunteering. No one's getting compensated for any of that. So absolutely. Yes. Thank you to everybody who volunteers their time to help us all play this game. Enjoy it. If you host a podcast.
Oh.
If you create geocaching content, there's all kinds of ways that people volunteer their time towards this.
The bloggers, the podcasterers.
Round of applause from UDEC.
There you go. To all the volunteers. But I mean, there's so many people who volunteer in different ways, but I think the point is to not forget the ones sort of at the core of it who kind of can tend to be forgotten about at times, which is great that we're reminded every year. But definitely, I think the reviewers are probably the one people think of the most, the volunteers. I think a lot of people forget that Earth Cache reviewers are not the same as your normal geocache reviewers. They are the GeoAwares. It's a different.
They are abnormal.
They are a unique group. Forum moderators, probably the most challenging job in geocaching volunteering next to reviewing. Translators. Yeah, translators is interesting. Like, I would have thought that was a paid role, but it's not. That's a volunteer role. Cool.
It's it's hard to get good translators, and there's not a lot of work. I mean, there's a lot of work, and then there's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Got to get all this done. Okay, I'm done. Now what?
Yeah.
Nothing until we do a web update. Good luck. Thank you.
Very cool. All right. Well, remember to thank a volunteer next Monday. You won't get a souvenir for it, but you might get a hug.
There you go. Go hug a volunteer.
Yeah.
Ask
them first. or don't. Just
forceful hugs.
There you go. All right. Well, let's jump into tonight's topic. It's only halfway through the podcast.
What to do on LEO encounters after you forcefully hugged a volunteer?
Yeah, it's a different show.
Okay, sorry.
Too funny. All right. Well, eventually we're going to talk about Maker Magic. So I guess our segue was talking about people who volunteer to put caches together and host events. But what is Maker Magic? Well, to quote geocaching.com's blog, it is a celebration of creative cache hides that may inspire you to create a wonderful new cache of your own. The geocaching community is invited to host Maker Magic events between June 13th to July 3rd. Anyone who logs and attended at a registered Maker Magic event will earn a special souvenir. Da-da-da.
Hey, souvenirs, those things are just popular.
They are.
So it's an event to attend. It's a souvenir to add to your collection and a chance to learn from local creative cache owners. That sums it up nicely.
I think so.
I think it does. Well, let's take a moment. We got to get back on topic, but what's an example of a great creative cache that you guys have found recently and our live audience? Use the hashtag maker and tell us about a creative cache that you have found recently.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys on that. Jim, do you have any ones that pop to mind for you?
Not recently, no. I haven't even been out caching lately. So no, not recently. I found some great ones over the years. And right at the moment, my brain's not coming up with any of them. There have been some fantastic ones out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? You find so many cool ones, and then you kind of, you're put on the spot. And you got to try to remember. It's like, what's your favorite cache? I don't know. The last one I found. But yeah, we're fortunate to have just come home from a great trip, and there's plenty of variety in creative caches. I mean, locations we went to tended to be urban, so you're going to tend to get the urban hides, but every once in a while we found a cool one, and there was one in particular that stands out for me. I found two others like it in different cities in Europe. So I've found this type of cache 3 times in 3 different cities in Europe. Never seen it in North America yet, but the cache is either classified as like a regular or a large, and it's a bicycle with saddlebags. And you open up the saddlebags, and there's the geocache in the saddlebags. It's generally in European cities that are bike heavy that I have found these. I tend to think there's probably not a lot of great places here in North America where you'd have enough concentration of bicycles to be able to kind of slide one in there, an old bike with saddlebags, and not have it, go missing. But definitely that is super creative, and I enjoyed those finds.
Nice. Here in Tacoma, there's been a bunch of 3D printed containers that have recently gone out to be found. I found a Minions one just this week. Thought that was quite nice. It's not just your standard container, and somebody put some effort into it to 3D print it, and it turned out quite nice.
There's a lot of great ones over in that area. Team Doltex puts out a ton of great ones. Bounce caches and so many others, but yeah.
Goblin Dust.
Yeah.
Yep.
Komakino said, I was an FTF on a cache, GC Alpha 6 Yankee 7 Hotel, and it was an amazing 3D printed cache. I got a cool 3D printed FTF prize from it.
Nice. That's fun.
Like a theme.
Seaback Tribe says, I made an ammo can that had numbers on the outside where you need to locate the 2 sets of numbers with a magnet. Then you use those numbers to unlock.
That's creative.
Tony says, Tony, send us your geocaching name and we'll make you known, or refer to you by your nom de cache. One that makes you go, wow, or that is really cool, or just gives you a good laugh.
Yep. That would definitely be definition. What else have we got here? We had a few came into the...
By the way, he's Swiftly Golden.
Swiftly Golden.
Swiftly
Thank you.
Golden.
We'll try and commit that to memory.
Sounds like an eagle.
That was swiftly answered.
Yes, indeed.
It's like he knew.
What have I got here? Keats shares anything by Flintstone 4 up in the Vancouver, BC area. Yes.
Nice.
They make fantastic caches. Highly recommend those.
All 4 Flintstones?
Yes.
Do you meet the Flintstones?
Along that same theme, Komakino reminds us, as you mentioned earlier, Bounce Bounce makes some really complex caches. I think we're going to get into this a little later, but there's definitely a difference between a creative cache. There can be so many types, but like Bounce Bounce, Goblin Dust, they make like these super amazing gadget caches, which are so cool. But it's like a lot of us look at it and go, I could never make something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are probably right, but speaking for myself, but really enjoy that somebody is like Bounce Bounce is willing to give so much back to the game in sharing his abilities to do that.
A few weeks ago, I had the chance to go with Bounce Bounce and G Slink when he was up here, Gary Slinkard.
Oh yeah.
And we went caching, and we did, because Gary had not done Bounce Bounce caches up here.
Oh, okay.
So we went to, I think, the majority of Bounce Bounce's caches, and some of them have
That's a
changed.
big
So they
day.
were new for me, even though, I had been to the location. Like, oh, I've been here. Yeah, but you haven't done this one. Oh, great. Let's do it. And some of them are just, spectacular. There's one where you have to know your superheroes. So superhero trivia, and you've got NFC cards to answer the questions with.
That's cool.
And of course, the one, that I won't spoil, but it's out in a parking lot, and it takes a lot of pulling to get to the container. I'll just put it that way.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Swiftly Golden tosses out that GC9. What is Z? Zebra?
Zulu.
Yeah. Zulu 63 Alpha, Springfield Hitchhikers Shelter, TB Motel. TB motels tend to be quite unique, right? People put a little effort into it. I found one this week that somebody had in their front yard with a lock on it. The container wasn't all that great, but the artwork they had in their yard was really quite attractive.
Very cool.
Komakino says a super common...
That's Keats.
Oh, sorry, Keats. Thank you. A super common first date question I get is, so what's the coolest cache you found? I don't know. Got to sift through a lot of finds to give you a good answer.
Sorry, I wanted to jump in there right away and correct you so that Komakino doesn't get in trouble with his wife regarding posting about first dates.
That's right. Keats, you have to have a good answer to that so you can get a second date.
There you go.
I don't know if that's true. No, not with Keats. MLTS.
Oh, that's the cache he was just talking
about. Is an actual tiny house. I made the house a cache. Wow. Cool.
That's pretty amazing. All right. So some great examples from the live audience. Thanks, folks. It's fun to share those.
There you go. Just in case you missed it. Team Noltex, Bounce Bounce, and Goblin Dust, says I am. Yes.
Yeah, some of the, and then cross the border, get up here, Flintstone 4 for sure up here in BC, and not to forget Gearhead up here in BC as well, who is the creator of a number of fantastic creative caches, including the one that was oh so popular during Geo Woodstock, the Doctor Who TARDIS cache.
Oh yes.
Yes.
But plenty of other people up here. Just you can't name everybody. Well, I guess you could, but that would be a different podcast.
Just Carlo says, I appreciate caches that are not only creative containers, but fun experiences. Yes.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about that in a bit too.
Keats has one more. I know we've got to get on. He says, I got to get my butt to North Dakota because the lure of Gilby is strong. Tricaceous caches look incredible. I really want to hit Gilby. And do Gilby Gone Wild.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Maybe we need to do a podcast road trip.
I think that would be fun.
Gia sometimes too does offer some great advice to Keats. The best answer is, you're my best find so far.
Whoa.
That'll guarantee you a second date.
That sounds like a man who's been happily married for a long time.
Now, Caching in the Northwest freely offers advice, but we don't guarantee it. So use at your own risk.
Although compared to a lot of the advice I give on the podcast, that was really good advice.
That was
good, yeah.
actually good, yeah. But if it doesn't work, it's GSM times 2's
It's all
fault.
GSM times 2 at that point.
Kind of feels
yes.
like not my problem.
That's right. I don't even remember what dating is like.
And dating now, from when I dated, around the time Mount St. Helens erupted, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There you go. And 3 cats. Your results may vary.
That's right.
That's right. Check with your doctor before using this advice.
So just before Valentine's Day, should we do a dating self-help podcast?
If we do, we better find a guest who actually knows something about it.
Oh yeah,
Well, that would be
apparently
your
GSM
geocache
times
guy.
2 has
Yeah,
one.
sometimes too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
So I think we've already said it, but creative caches don't just have to be gadget caches, right? It can be those that are awesome. That we've had the we're fortunate to live somewhere with amazing gadget cache creators. But what else goes into making a great, creative, and memorable cache? Is it the experience? Sometimes getting there. I hear
Sometimes.
Potter's Pond is one I want to try to get to. I don't know if I can do it this summer, but we'll give it a shot. Is quite a nice cache. There's nothing special about it, but the trip there is what's memorable.
Yeah. I would think a consideration for making a great creative cache is thinking about your maintenance plan. If you create a cache that's either too complex or too fragile, it's not going to last, and you're constantly going to be doing maintenance, and you're going to get to the point where this is just too much. And I've had that experience. I've had great ideas with slightly flawed execution. And then, goes out in the wild and it's that didn't work. But
that didn't last long.
I would say think through the wear and tear the cache is going to take and have a bit of a maintenance plan for it.
I never go ahead.
I was going to say, that's my exact thing. I have a couple sitting over here on my workbench and are like, yeah. And no, that just didn't turn out strong enough.
Yeah. I never saw it in person. I don't know the details, but Team Noltex had a very sad experience at the 20th anniversary celebration at Seattle Center with a cache built for that. Like the very first cacher came up and just destroyed it. So yeah. I think he has some other stories about really cool caches that are no longer deployed because they just were a maintenance headache.
Yeah. Well, Team Noltex had another one. Come on down. The Price is Right.
That's what I was thinking of, yeah.
That got vandalized.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's like one of my biggest Team Noltex disappointments. Not in the sense that I didn't like the cache, in the sense that we tried for it twice.
Yeah.
The first time the batteries had worn down, or just so we opened it up. We're like, this is amazing. We go to play, and you can just faintly hear the music start up, and then just go, like, oh no. So then we thought, okay, well, we knew we had another trip coming in a month or two. We'd be back. So, okay, we'll come back and we'll find this one. By the time we came back, it had been vandalized, and that was sad.
Yeah.
At the Ape event last year, we had a Team Noltex Plinko game with the full Price is Right sound effects on it at our booth. And I'll tell you, I quickly got tired of hearing the Price is Right theme song. Every time it started up.
Could be worse. It could be the Final Countdown song.
It's a final countdown. Keats, who's very popular in the chat tonight, or very prolific typer. Maybe he has a word sheet, a Word document.
I think he's getting a lot of advice tonight as well.
Yeah.
With all these things, yeah. What about the creativity of solving, and I'll add, making a puzzle?
Yep, absolutely.
Sure.
It's an aspect of creativity.
That could be good. So let's see. We covered creativity, gadgets, maintenance. Location is also something to keep in mind. Creative caches they can work in any location, but sometimes it needs to be appropriate to the location, and otherwise, cache just isn't going to last. The one, I don't know. I guess it could have been a different location, but I don't know what I was just thinking of. Help me with the name of it, Land Monkey. It was up. You took me to it. Was something about Chicken TV or
Chicken Channel.
Chicken Channel. That's what it was. Yeah, that was fun.
That was a great creative cache.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily gadgety. It was just
Yeah, I think the cache itself was just a bison tube
something
hidden in the ivy beside what was the actual chicken channel, which was an old television with a chicken feed dial. built into
Yeah.
And
that was memorable. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was super cool. Yeah, absolutely. Maintenance plan, location, those things can be tied together, but sometimes just I think this is your point, Jim, like a fantastic location can make for a very memorable cache. Now, the cache itself may not be creative, but in that case, you were bringing people to something that was creative. I found one last winter. Yeah, I think last winter in Vancouver that Cuttlefish had hidden a cache. It was a fairly standard cache hide, but it was at a really creative thing. I've got a YouTube short I posted on that, and it's a mannequin in a bathtub as a piece of art outside of somebody's house, that they change up the mannequin every couple of months as to what it's doing or what it's wearing. Nice. And it's really funny. And the cache brings you to this creative thing to experience. And I thought, so, that's again, another angle to consider.
Monkey Cake mentions a well-written letterbox hybrid makes for a great cache experience.
Yeah.
Something where you
creativity of the writing process. Yeah.
Yeah. And the story behind it is, you just got to follow along and do the process, for that instance, or for that same reason, multi-caches, I think, are interesting.
Indeed. Yeah. What else we got? Let's talk, we've gotten into talking about creative caches themselves, which is great. But let's talk about the events, because everybody wants a chance to earn the souvenir, right? The events need to take place, as we said before, between June 13th and July 3rd. Basically, a 3-week window to host and or attend the event in. And what that means is, given that June 13th is the start, by May 30th, you'll have to have submitted the event to your local reviewers.
That's 2 weeks away.
That's coming up fast. So that's why we're doing this episode, to help you guys out.
That's right. So because how fast you go, those 2 weeks, they just disappear. So get thinking now. And there's a little bit more to it. To qualify as a Maker Magic event, the event cache, it has to fulfill all of the regular event cache guidelines. So there are guidelines, right? Not hard, fast rules. You can bend them. No. Follow the regular event cache guidelines. It has to last at least 1 hour. And as Land Monkey mentioned, it has to take place between June 13th and July 3rd. It must highlight cache quality and or cache creation. And there's a special form to fill out by June 11th. That gives you the Geocaching HQ Maker Magic status. You can't just go, oh yeah, it's a Maker themed cache and I'm just going to do it. And you got to do the form thing and get the official Geocaching HQ blessing. Once it's approved, you'll receive a digital banner for your event page and let players know that they'll receive a souvenir for attending. And that could be a big draw.
Yeah.
And by the way, CETO events are not eligible for Maker Magic events.
There you go.
What if you make the area magical?
Well, I was going to say, if you have a particularly messy Maker Magic event, you could follow it up with a CETO event directly after.
Except for event stacking would get in your way there.
And anything to do with glitter, you can never get all the glitter out.
Yeah. Glitter is just, it should not exist. It should be banned.
It can sometimes be hard to come up with locations and or ideas for these special types of events, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you could do something like TL Ware is doing in Bellingham.
TW Lair.
TW Lair. Sorry, I knew that, and I still got it wrong. TW Lair. Sorry, TW Lair. I'm just going to say it a couple of times to get it right in my head, so that you all know it as well. Uh, she's doing an event in Bellingham on May 19th. That's GC Alpha 8 Whiskey 1 Yankee. It's tough to read tonight, okay? And for some reason the font on this is just a little bit smaller than everything else. That's what I'm blaming, the font, okay? Anyway, we go on. Invite geocachers as you usually would to a meet and greet, but discuss great caches beyond the green box and exchange ideas.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's, it complies with all all the rules that Jim walked us through, but isn't something that requires a tremendous amount of organizational effort to pull off. So I think TW Larry came up with a great idea, great option that you could also do if want to host one of these in your area, but you're like, oh man, I don't want to set up a bunch of tables and do all this kind of stuff. But alternatively, one of the local or a number of local cachers in the Fraser Valley in the past, most recently, Gearhead up here hosted an event that would have easily met all these criteria. It was the Fraser Valley Cache Bash 6 kickoff event. He had a collection, selection, I should say, a collection and selection of creative cache containers. And he took the opportunity to explain to everybody how they were made, where the parts came from, and ideas for how they could be hidden, which is, fantastic. If you have access to even a group in the community, say, hey, everybody, bring any creative caches that you might have made and talk everybody through the process of making these. That would be the perfect, again, fit right into the wheelhouse of these types of events.
I'm reminded in the Seattle event last summer, we were next to West Virginia Tim. He had some great examples of fun gadgets with him.
Yes, another great. So yeah, Tricacheus, WB Tim, great creative cache creators.
So if you're looking for event ideas, you could also throw a fun all ages workshop event at a park with some picnic tables. People can bring their own supplies, like you were saying. You bring stuff in. You could build them together. You don't have to do it all by yourself.
Just not glitter. No glitter.
No glitter. No.
Make a glitter bomb cache.
That's right. So you mentioned
prize.
You mentioned TW Lair's event on June 19th. So that's in the window. It's already published out there. And there are already several other events out there. The WSGA Olympic Peninsula chapter, that's what I'm looking for, has a creative cache fair that's on the calendar already. It's just outside Gorst. That's GC Alpha 8 Delta Victor Echo. And
who doesn't love to go to Gorst?
I know.
What is it with the Olympic Peninsula and their town names?
Gorst. I love Gorst.
I think we almost did an entire podcast once on Olympic Peninsula town names.
It's different than a gorch. Ask Worf about that. That's okay. It is a gorch. So that's June 17th. Also on June 17th in Pullman, nearly the other side of the state. Well, really is the other side of the state. Pullman's Maker Magic Workshop. That's GC Alpha 846 Mike. And those are both on June 17th. Wow, bonus credit to you if you can make both events in the same day. I'm thinking that's
some serious driving.
Yeah, or flying or transporting. Maybe you could build a transporter at one event and energize it and beam over to the other. I don't know.
Ooh, me. I want to go.
The digital conveyor is so much more hard than science. A few days later, Maker Magic Earth Cache event. I don't know anybody would want to go to that. We'll just skip that one right over. Oh, wait.
I'm clicking on this link that you have right now.
That's curious. In Seattle. Len Muckey might now have plans on June 20th to come down to Seattle for GC Alpha 87 Whiskey 1.
So that's cool. I'm just reading the description on this one. So the
Tell us
idea is
about it.
they're gonna walk everybody through key things to know about creating earth caches. Very cool. Who's hosting that? That's Mike Dog 360. All right. What a innovative idea for a creator event. I like
That's
it.
cool. It is cool. I joke, but it's cool.
It is.
And
Keep
then
going.
towards the end of the month, there's a Tri-Cities meet and greet and Maker Magic, June 29th. And that is probably, is that the same weekend as the GeoCoin Challenge in the Tri-Cities? So
Oh, okay.
let's see, June 29th is a Thursday night. So that's preceding that. That's post that. The weekend is the 24th and 25th.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
may just be an excuse to hang out in Tri-Cities for a while.
It's a
Why
fun
not?
place.
It's a fun place. That's GC Alpha 75 Romeo Yankee. And finally, also on the 29th, Maker Magic Creative Cache Showcase and Workshop. That's in Snoqualmie. So over on the west side of the mountains, GC Alpha 85 Delta Echo.
That's not as much of a challenge to get from Tri-Cities to Snoqualmie in
It's
a
more
day
doable.
as it would
That's more
be
doable.
from Gorst to Pullman.
Pullman. I mean, unless the events are exactly the same time slot, that might be a little tough, but
Well, you already made the transporter.
well, it's true. You made it back
Yeah.
on the 17th to get to Pullman.
Right. So you got 2 weeks to work it out there. And
Yeah, for sure. Hey, another one from a comment from Just Carlo. He said, while they didn't make caches last year, they hosted an event to help paint the murals for Geo Woodstock 18. If you remember the Instagram murals that were set up where you could pose and take your photos there with some props, that was an event, and Just Carlo basically had 2 giant paint by numbers murals. I'm trying to think of canvases that he had sketched out and had the whole design up there, and a lot of different folks from around this area all participated and painted them up. It was really neat. So
let me ask you something, Land Monkey. Was Just Carlo paid to do that?
that was volunteer activity.
That was volunteerism. Wow. Okay.
There you go.
Don't thank him today. Wait till Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
On Monday, we can thank Just Carlo.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Doramore says that event was a blast.
Yes. Mrs. Monkey went and enjoyed it. I can't remember. I couldn't go, and it was either work or something, but I was unable to
play.
go.
Or event planning.
No, I don't think it was. Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe I was on call. Anyhow, regardless, I couldn't go.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of different aspects of what makes a cache great, right? It doesn't have to be a gadget cache to be incredibly memorable.
Yeah.
It's the location, it's the hike, it's the journey getting there. If there's multiple steps, adventure labs, some of the adventure labs I've been to have been very memorable. So, it can be any type of geocaching adventure you want to take someone on.
Chris, I think that's a really good point to reinforce, because I think a lot of us, when we think of creative caches, our brain just automatically goes to those mind-bending gadget caches that get built. But and that can set the bar so high that you're like, well, I'm not even going to bother trying. I'm just going to throw this Tupperware under a tree. It's like, but you could, find some options. There's lots of, you can go to the dollar store and buy like a little birdhouse and paint it with your kids and put a little plastic bird on it or something. There's ways you can just spend a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and just knock it up a few notches.
Yep.
And right there, you're into creative cache making.
Well, Wits End, do you remember several years ago we did the Manhunt series? I want to say it was around Olympia or Centralia.
Yes.
The caches weren't spectacular, but the story, I want to say there were 5 or 6 stops. The story is what got us into that. And it's something I brought up just this week talking with with my wife.
And it was a real story.
Yes, exactly.
It wasn't like somebody wrote a myth or fable about it. There was a story about an actual manhunt from many, many years ago. And as I recall, the suspect holed up in a cabin and kept frogs around as
I remember this.
Alarms.
Now.
that was
Yeah.
how he knew somebody was coming, because the frogs would get quiet.
That is funny. I remember hearing that. I don't know if I heard it from you or if I maybe found the caches and read the story as well. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
again, that's something, it was a memorable experience. I was
It was.
excited to go from cache to cache just to continue to read the story.
Yeah.
And like I say, the caches were not spectacular. I don't know if I remember the last one was in a frog.
Yes,
but-
the final was in a frog.
But I remember the anticipation of waiting to read more about this manhunt.
Cool. Well, we're just talking about finding creative caches, finding cache hides. But if somebody wanted to find a Maker Magic event because they want to attend one and earn the souvenir, and learn about creative geocaching,
As one does.
how can as one does, how can somebody find a Maker Magic event? Chris, you pulled a list together here.
I pulled a list quickly today.
How'd you do it?
I went to the website.
Which website?
That would be geocaching.com. And I clicked on filter right there at the top where you search. I picked an event type and I typed in the keyword maker. That's all it took, and searched. And I came up with, a whole list. I don't remember how many, probably up to 500, right? I backed up and got rid of that search. So I came up with 258. Now, they may not all be Maker Madness. They may have the word maker in them somewhere,
Right.
Maker
or
Magic.
Maker Magic,
Magic.
but you could put in Maker Magic and sort by that and get exactly how the events near you, which ones you want to go to,
Assuming they
sort
put
them by
that in
name.
the name.
in the keyword field.
Yeah, but that's assuming whoever is hosting the event actually puts Maker, because I don't think you have to.
I thought it was in the instructions there.
I'm scrolling back up in the notes.
I don't know, but I know that if you just go to your profile page on geocaching.com, there is a calendar in the sidebar that shows
Yes.
nearby events. And usually there's not that many events that are within 50 or 100 mile radius you're placed in. You can just look at a half a dozen of them there. Unless you really want to travel a long distance, then you'll have to do a little more creative searching. Or if you're going to be in a different city during that window, then you might want to search there. But for ones close to home, I would start there and just look at the calendar and check them out. Because
Yeah.
yes, they might not have Maker Magic in the name.
Yeah, they don't. They don't have to. It doesn't look like it. But if you're planning to host one, maybe put that in the name, and that'll make it easier for
That
people to
would be
find it.
very nice thing to do. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's going to get a whole lot more attention than
Yeah.
not having that in the name, especially for the souvenir hunters who want to, go out and get 20 Maker Madness events during, I'm sorry, that was a previous one, Maker
That was-
Magic events during the period that is open.
I guess, Chris, did you want to talk about setting up alerts to get notifications?
You can set up alerts right there on the homepage, right? Or right there. And once you do need to be a premium member. Let me say that. And go get that premium membership if you don't have it. In a couple of episodes, we're going to tell you why, but you're going to want it. Well, you already know why, but you can get notified as soon as one is published in your area. You could sort on just events. I just want events published within however many miles you're willing to go, right? Maybe you're not that much into traveling, so you want 10 miles around you. Maybe you're willing to really go out and do these things and you put in a 100-mile radius, right? That could be a 200-mile day traveling between events.
Back and forth across the state. Yeah.
Yep. Or more. Yes.
Or more. Well, folks, if you do go out and attend a Maker Magic event, don't forget that you should share about it on your social medias as well. HQ is asking people to use the hashtag GeoMakerMagic, all one word.
And we know you guys know how to use hashtags.
That's
You
right.
know how to use hashtags. We've seen you do that. But we here at the podcast would ask you, if you are going to do that, also tag it with our 3 Twitter internet handles. We'd like to see the fun too and share your experiences on a future podcast. So those handles would be at Caching NW, at Wits End. I got that right, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I typed that by memory. And at Land Monkey GC. Those would be the 3 of us. We would love to hear about your Maker Magic fun that you're having as well.
Fantastic. And folks, we hope you enjoyed listening to this here episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Indeed. And once again, I want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism, our corporate Denali level sponsors. Land Sharks with a Z.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. And remember, they're shipping those online orders daily. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com. And I'm missing some text here that I normally read, but if you want to support this podcast, I'm going to do this by memory. Let's see how well this goes after 4 weeks of being away from the podcast. But if you want
the
to
faithful
support...
Denali level supporters,
yes, thank
like
you.
Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Team Squirrel, Groovy Al, and Cashley.
Yeah, where did that go? Why is that not there?
It's
anymore?
down below the patron list. It moved. It got interrupted. Look, it's right there at top. What are you talking about?
It's moving around on me. All right. Thank you for that, Jim. Yes, our faithful Denali level sponsors, Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Team Squirrel, Groovy Al, and Cashley. And folks, if you want to know Zubidababda. And if you want to know more about supporting the show, click that Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website.
See, it's so easy. Anybody can do a podcast. Like Ackerdoc did.
He did a podcast?
No.
Oh, no. He clicked the Patreon link.
He clicked the Patreon link.
Yeah.
Supported
So did
the
Seebeck Tribe.
Yes, Seebeck Tribe and Al Robrick.
And Ari 54321.
Joining us at 6 a.m. That's live. That's Korsgott.
And Log Work.
And Green Words.
Genies.
Geocaches.
Our favorite kitchen appliance, the LG 9000.
Just Carlo.
M-Nerve back into the family here.
And GSM ×2 and his great dating advice.
Let's see. How about Broncos fan for life?
Terrible lunch, but a great cacher, Gas Station Tuna.
Also active in the chat, the Camp Clan.
Often active, BC Rock Crawler.
And RAR 285.
You talks to rocks.
Doramore.
CRS 98.
Skyhawker.
Segehov.
UDAC.
Peach of Washington.
Flagman.
MC3 Cats.
And Teus.
Kev MacD.
Wet Coaster.
Trexer.
GeoNav Pro.
Just finding our way.
Kid Vegas 19.
Wino Seattle.
Just once tonight, B Pendragon.
J-Car.
Subway Mark.
Whidbey Island Gal.
Kitty Quest.
Boomer 365.
Limax.
And the much talked about Team Noltex. Folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, please click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. In either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all them other places that you get podcasts. Now, subscribe and give us a review, because if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. You can also call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or help us with your gadget cache anytime in the day or night. And we may call at 3 a.m, so be ready. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and even livelier chat. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwoods, Jay Kennedy, and Brian Lang. It's licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2023 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for the after show. My timing wasn't great on that one.
Jumped right in there, didn't it?
Yeah.
Jim talked right over you.
Yeah.
Rude.
Oh, a fair bit of FATAS in here.
Keith tossed one right here at the end, so that's the one that's coming up first. He has two events coming up, one in Vancouver at Canada Place. You know, Vancouver, that Canada place, not the Vancouver, Washington place.
Right.
Yeah.
More like the cruise ship terminal.
Oh, yeah.
Among
on June 3rd and Victoria, the BC Legislative Front Lawn on June 10th. Part of the few events I'm hosting as I travel across Canada. How very nice.
Didn't want to put them on the same day.
Yeah.
Depends on how quickly he's going across Canada.
That's right.
Speaking of going across Canada, we had a couple of FATASs that came in very early. Dora Moore shared about her recent travels, said we didn't have a solid plan, had to improvise around floods and smoke. Earth caches and virtuals took us to some great spots, favorite points on the map on the app, helped us to find great caches as well.
Yeah, it's smoky down here today. Smoke from Canada wildfires, we're told.
That's what we're told. We don't know what the truth is.
You
know what?
A lot.
Dora Moore has more.
Oh.
She says, I'm one province away from my own personal goal. I've found a cache on the Trans-Canada Trail in 9 out of 10 so far. 9 out of 10 provinces.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Providentially, she's found them all.
Yes. Using providence to find them in provinces. Yes. Just Finding Our Way was updating on his amazing road trip. 6,000 miles, 16 days, 13 new states, 8 new oldies, and finalized
qualifications.
Oh, okay. That was throwing me off for a moment. And finalized qualifications on 14 previously signed challenges. Won't be here. So he won't be here to hear us reading about this because he has an airport run at 4 a.m. But congrats, Just Finding Our Way. If you listen to this later, that's pretty amazing.
Very impressive. There could have been a typo. He could have finalized, quails on 14 previously signed challenges.
Yeah, I think what was happening is I was reading that for some reason as the word quads and not quals. So that really threw me off when I was reading it. So this is why Jim cold reads and I don't.
Well, what I want to do is I want to go on a road trip with Just Finding Our Way because, wow, that seems incredible.
Some serious planning behind that one. Yeah,
exactly. And,
sounds like Dora Moore's road trip was some serious planning with some serious ability to be flexible.
Yeah. Improvising on the fly. That's not easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
But let me toss out there that if you're going to go on a road trip with someone new, 16 days, 13 states, that may not be the road trip you want to go on and, after you just met someone. So, there you go. It's more dating advice. And
is that considered dating?
Well, there you go. IHAM says no, just no on the dating show. So in case you wondered, we probably won't be doing it.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Very cool. All right. Well, lots of great stuff there. Thank you to everybody who participated in the comments. I also had a great trip. We'll probably talk about it on a future episode a little bit more, but Definitely happy to be back. Glad to be able to participate with the live audience and all the fun tonight and hang out with you guys.
So good. Wits End, Land Monkey, thank you.
Yes.
And folks, thank you for watching. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.